Danyelle Musselman, thank you so much for joining us here at the DBI office today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's beautiful here. I really love the feel. It's got a good vibe to it.
Yeah, we overlook the downtown square. You couldn't have a better spot.
No, I love it.
So as we were getting set up, Chandler, running cameras, said, will she know how to mic herself? And I said, actually, yeah, I think more than the rest of us. You're no stranger to being in front of the camera.
Yes.
And really reached at an early age a pinnacle of sports journalism. I mean, ESPN, Fox Sports, Yahoo Sports.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that experience and that life back then.
I think it was my second year of college. I went to Florida State. I kind of put it all together and realized that I wanted to be in sports broadcasting. After I graduated, I started out behind the scenes. I worked at CNN, and then I got my first on-air job about a year after that. And I was in Macon, Georgia. I was in Kansas City for 2 years, and then I got the call from ESPN, and then my national career took off, and I've been fortunate to work everywhere from ESPN to Fox Sports to NFL Network. It's just amazing. It was amazing.
I'm going to pivot a little bit now that you are the, I want to make sure I get the title right, GM of Team Musselman, the First Lady of Razorback Basketball. We like to call you the Razorback Team Mom.
Yes.
I've read that as well. That's another exciting role, and makes you a very recognizable person here in the state of Arkansas.
What's really funny is the fact that it really does stretch all around the state. I'm so humbled by that, because that doesn't happen everywhere.
I do want to talk about your ability to lend your voice to causes here. And I was at a luncheon, part of the Bentonville Film Festival, and they were showing Giving Birth in America, Arkansas, and you joined really a chorus of voices here in the state, bringing attention to maternal mortality rates that are incredibly high here in the state, across the nation, but Arkansas is the highest.
Yes.
There's a personal story there. Tell me about that, and then we'll talk about the state in general.
Yeah, well, I was invited to a conversation just as someone who had a voice in the state of Arkansas. You know, these people were talking and speaking at such a high level. I was not as versed in this conversation, but I said, what I can add is I am a person who's been affected by maternal health issues. And I shared with that group my story of being pregnant with my daughter, Mariah, who's 13 now, but I suffered a stroke when I was about 8 months pregnant. And my situation could have gone a very different way. Luckily, I'm here and I'm healthy. My daughter is here and she's healthy, but it was something that was very unexpected and very serious. And I don't think people necessarily, you know, look at me now or even then and think of someone that would suffer a stroke. And so I just kind of put a face, and I wanted to be someone that would help people resonate with the issue.
Something that during the luncheon someone brought up, it may have been you, Olympian Tori Bowie had died at 8 months pregnant, maybe the week or two before the luncheon.
Yeah.
These are not the people, this is someone at the pinnacle of health.
Right.
That's alarming.
And I was so glad that it really became national news, because I almost feel like that's something that could have just been glazed over. But it was like, look at this woman who was the epitome of health and fitness, and she is no longer with us because of what happened to her.
Talk about that message to women. I mean, you talk about advocating for yourself.
Yes.
Asking for another opinion. It may not always be in our nature.
Yes.
You using your voice to advocate for this issue here in Arkansas. It's an important thing to do.
It's really important, and I have learned it not just with my situation. A lot of people know the story about my sister. I have a younger sister who's 3.5 years younger than me, and she had a heart transplant about 5 months after we moved to Arkansas. So it's almost a little bit of my story here, because there were so many people that I met that kind of supported me and our family through that situation. But I think back to what she was going through, and she looked like a healthy woman in her late 30s, and so she was brushed off as having pneumonia at first whenever she went to urgent care and was having trouble breathing. They said, I think that you have pneumonia, and luckily her and her husband really pushed for a chest x-ray in that situation, and that's whenever they discovered that her heart was ginormous, and she was actually operating at 10% heart function.
Oh my goodness.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. So luckily they didn't take, you know, you have pneumonia, here's some medicine, go home. They pushed it a little bit further, and that's what 100% saved her life.
When we talk about family, I'm going to pivot a little bit to, you have your family.
Yes.
You have your Razorback family, and we like to say here in the state of Arkansas, we're family.
We are a big dysfunctional family, probably.
We're a little crazy about our hogs, and that's okay. Talk about family in Arkansas.
I'll talk about the basketball team, and one thing that we really pitch to our players that we're recruiting and to their parents is that we are family, and we really mean that, and that honestly, it stems from our athletic director all down, and so it spreads through the entire athletic department. And I know there's so many people that are at different schools who say, oh, I don't even know our soccer coach and his wife, or I don't know the softball coach. We know all of those people. We all know each other because we are family. We do things together. We have events together. We, as wives, have a Bible study together, and it really means something.
I remember 94, 95, this like something's, as we're gearing up for those years, something's brewing. You could just feel it. It feels like that. The last few years, you have had multiple Sweet 16, Elite 8.
Yeah.
What's coming this next season? Do you feel that? Do you feel it?
I really did not realize how long it had been since Arkansas had been there before. And so getting there, for me personally, it was insane. We went to the Sweet 16 one year when we were at University of Nevada, and it was such a high. I remember just thinking, like, thank you, God. Like, if this never happens again, like, thank you for this moment, because it was that exciting. I remember everything about it, and I didn't know if we were ever going to experience wins that exciting again. And then here we were going to the Elite 8, going a step further than we had gone before. The most exciting game. I had to watch it again actually on tape because it's almost like you black out. I'm like, wait, what happened?
This state loves the Razorbacks.
It's so cool. It's so, I mean, you get burned on the other end if you're not doing so well, but when it's good, it's really good.
When it's good, it's good. All right, I hate to ask you about this because I feel like a lot of people ask you about your husband ripping his shirt off, but I'm going to do it in a little bit of a different way.
Okay.
I found a bunch of headlines that I found very amusing, and so I'm just going to read them, and we'll show the articles on camera. Power move tradition. Eric Musselman rips his shirt off. Musselman's shirt comes off. Shirtless Muss is a happy one. Eric Musselman's shirtless celebration. Every time Arkansas coach has gone viral. Bill Murray tried to get UConn's Dan Hurley to take his shirt off after win. And nothing says woo pig suey like Eric Musselman partying shirtless with court stormers. I love it. It's the energy of a child.
Yes.
That you see your kids when they just can't like contain themselves. Like, what is it like to be his wife?
Well, I have to set up the taking the shirt off first. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but when we were at University of Nevada and we took over a program that had won, I want to say 9 games the year before, so hadn't been very successful, didn't have a lot of fans. And then that second year, we won the Mountain West Conference, okay? And so they had, the Mountain West Champs t-shirts ready to go, and everyone was putting them on. And so Eric went to put his on, and his players just grabbed him and threw him into the celebration before he got the shirt on. So rather than stop it and put the shirt on, he just went with it and shirtlessly celebrated. And so ever since then, that has kind of been his celebration. And so it makes me laugh because people are like, what is going on? I'm like, no, there's a reason, there's a story kind of behind it.
What was it like the first time you heard that woo pig suey, which, I've seen it done in different parts of the country.
Yes.
And when Razorback fans run into each other in places, we do it in weird spots too.
It's the best.
It's different.
So when Eric got the job and we flew here, we knew we were going to have to do it at the press conference as a family. And so we practiced it no less than 10 times, like in front of like PR people. They're like, you have to get this right.
Hands higher, fingers right.
Hold it longer, hold it 5 seconds longer than you think feels natural. And so we were like gonna nail it. We nailed it and everything. But it's so funny, I was told like eventually this is gonna feel like second nature. And the first I don't even know, 25 times you do it, you're like, it still feels kind of weird. And now, they weren't lying. It feels like second nature, and nothing is better. I love doing it in Bud Walton, but nothing is better than doing it on the road because I know the fans are just hating every second of us doing the hog call.
I wanted to thank you. Speaking of celebrating, you came to First Friday downtown. So
it was amazing.
We had fun having you here and hope to have you here again. What is it like to look around downtown and see 10,000 people down here?
I thought it was so cool. I mean, my daughter and I just walked around and listened to music, and she's so funny. She's 13, and she was like, "Oh, Mom, there's such and such," and then would run the other way. And I'm like, "Well, if you know that person, why don't you go say hi?" And she said, "Oh, no, I met him at camp. It's too embarrassing. I don't like my outfit."
You have a teenager on
your
hands.
So I have a teenager. Yeah. I was like, what is happening here? But no, it was so fun.
Well, come join us again.
I will.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.